just see where we are at the end of the hour.
Alright, that's fine, that's fine.
Decide
When I was typing it up, I was like,
if they'll do homework, because this hour doesn't do homework.
okay. Morning, Jocelyn.
Good luck.
That was nice of you
Thank you
to
for
offer him that support. She doesn't say that to me.
Really? This was really nice. Yeah, I was like typing it up yesterday and I was like, I felt like it was too long and then I was like going through it and I was like, oh, maybe it's too short and I was like, I just want to end early.
Well,
Something like that. Well, I think I'll be right in the middle of the whole time.
you usually talk faster than me.
Yeah,
So there's that. Alright, so she's all in there. So you have to actually come up here and push the present button. This turns it on and off. That obviously clicks it back and forth. And there's a button if it works. You have to turn it on. There's a laser pointer. But it doesn't start videos or anything like that.
Okay.
It's not the fancy one.
That's still.
I'm gonna go get me some water.
Alright. I'm gonna practice with this. Morning. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Great. It's a great day. Was that accidentally, was that your desk back there that you normally sit in?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I stole it.
No, you're fine.
Just for today though. Morning, Mom. Hey.
Oh, do I have to call you Mr. Brooke today?
Mr. Hall for today.
Same thing.
I'll be back there in the afternoon anyway, and then it'll be normal. Yeah.
This dad's here. I was wondering why you're saying that, right?
Oh yeah, I should go get my book today. We only have one thing. No, two. For one and everything.
Oh my god, that dog's annoying.
Autumn, Jocelyn, next time you see Coach Williams, you gotta tell him that I did a good job, so then they'll give me a good grade
Okay.
for my class.
I seen him yesterday.
Huh? You
I seen
did?
him yesterday at volleyball.
What are you guys doing?
No, I was here.
I seen him.
Oh, at the volleyball game? Is he doing concessions? Or is he
No,
just
I
there?
think he was just there watching.
Oh.
I don't know, because I wasn't out there for him.
Wait, was that the last volleyball game?
Well, for GB it was.
Oh.
Do you guys play volleyball?
I did.
how'd the season go?
Okay.
Okay. After each other, that's
I suck. I went to summer. Soccer's probably my favorite sport.
It's okay, but at least basketball starts soon.
My favorite sport in the summer is softball. I played 3 different spots in softball. Pitcher, catcher, and third base.
What up, bud? How was that your last football game? I think I was doing concessions there. Was it? I think was your last one reading? Okay, maybe it was 2 ones ago.
I look so disgusting, but I look
Reading
so
was last
pretty.
week.
Where's the you look? Is that
Oh, that one.
Look at her
Reading was
pants.
good.
Look at her pants.
They were really good.
You didn't tell me that.
Yeah, they were.
Just now noticing this at night.
Look at her pants.
Wow!
What?
I said what's up?
I said what's up too.
No, you didn't.
And I
Get it.
Break.
I didn't either.
Evan, I
Sick.
heard.
Get
Oh,
off.
fuck.
Evan, I heard you say
So,
it.
like, I know I'm gonna be the class.
Kika, I heard you say it.
I'm from the class.
Dude, I was so upset yesterday.
And I know I'm not supposed to.
Why?
What's up, Katika?
You have a first class?
No, but
No,
he said,
Kika.
you will.
Kika.
How's your hand, bud?
Not broke, but she looked
Hurts
broke.
it. It's your hand.
Yeah, she do.
You almost broke it?
Smoke
I was
these
gonna
kids.
say.
I'm gonna kids home.
And his hand bubbled up.
I'm just ignoring your text.
You'll look to your right.
I'm just gonna be like, Autumn has me.
No, you're not. You're not.
Already, so we can text it on the road.
Okay.
As you hold up your right hand.
I don't know.
Yeah. Dude, I was so pissed last night.
Why?
Like I thought this one went down, but it's just bread.
And fucking
I didn't get my homework done. We did get homework at 2 o'clock in the morning.
I know.
I texted the group chat when the school went.
We're going down one.
I feel like
We're not really going to school.
So I
and
didn't.
I was pissed because I didn't play.
I didn't get my homework. That was a close game. It was a good game.
Yeah, I know, but there was so many opportunities to put me in
Yeah.
because I'm better than you.
It's not weird. I'm sorry.
No, but I was aggressive that game for 1. For 2, I was so aggressive with Harry.
I hope I still get top 2, but we'll play.
Guaranteed, dude.
Because it's not
Zig
broke.
was right in your hand.
I'm like,
But
we're like, I'm probably not gonna pick, you know. Like it's not broken rapid. Like I want.
She always shows up.
you can rap it, dude.
Yeah. Just literally.
I guarantee you play on defense.
Really not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Mac is pretty good blocker. We're not good.
Dude,
Mike,
what
double
about
hand.
this?
Mike, call my hand.
No, with you
I mean,
and Reed.
I need to go get the newspaper.
Wow.
Shopping spree for us.
no.
Put some clothes
I
on.
need new cleats. I told her like I need new cleats.
Short sleeve or no sleeve.
I wouldn't catch you no
It's a
trash.
long
I know, and then when you grab the kid
Cold
and
ones.
threw it.
Yeah, I'm like,
I
like
really
jumped
don't
over
know for
and
sure.
it just flat.
I don't know where any of my, I like all my clothes.
Holding.
You should see my room right now, dude.
But
Is
they
that
be all
dips
like
on
ran
there?
off my side. That's what I had. Like,
You had to hold.
Still sitting in my,
and he
It was
ran
so
his leg
moldy,
inside.
gross.
it's not gone yet, so it's like all gooey and
That's why I grabbed it.
hard.
It's disgusting.
Send me a picture the other day.
What?
Dude, I was pissed when he didn't put me in. And when he did put me in, dude, it's kind of like a slap in the face when he put me in. Because as soon as he put me in,
Like, oh boy, this is snatch.
no, because I already knew he was going to take me. I already knew he was going to do that. So
No, we won.
I'm not playing with that shit.
It was 0-0 on that.
I'm not
I
playing
know,
that shit. I'm not
but then it
having
was
no
14
time.
But if you get
Yeah.
like stronger, yeah,
It was a good game the last half hour.
Who did we play though?
I'm aggressive, but she never used it because they never got put in.
Well, that's the problem. Well, if you're next practice,
I didn't get it because I got through every time.
next year, our Jamie line will be
I'm ready to cheer tonight.
No.
It's gonna be cold.
Yeah. I'm probably wearing.
Colton.
They might not put
This?
Clip in there.
Clinton.
I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know,
gonna
they might
be.
not put it in.
Colton.
But then you said
He's
it's
not good.
raining.
He's just
No.
If I don't
When
get
we
moved
played
up,
Bronson and it was raining,
That was good.
that's tough.
Brad.
Well, that's
Also
right,
because
he's
like
the first
raindrops,
guy.
they came right at us, so we were saying like.
Because he's good at stats.
He always gets it. Not as good as him, yeah. Kim flicks it, it's right here.
Can't you see?
Oh,
Look, my thumb, it broke.
And so next year,
It broke and
it's
started bleeding
yeah,
last
cut,
night.
like Gabriel Wilson.
Then I was not
Kim
off
snaps the ball.
custody in my
He saw right here, Jacob Wilson's right. I know. Jacob Wilson catches right here. And all he has to do is drop that.
Oh, Reagan was nice yesterday.
It was so good.
It's like a blue moon. I think we're flying last night.
What's up, Legs? What does it?
I didn't want to go to school.
Did you like it? Dude, my mom wanted, she wanted to go off on her out there. Church off.
He's like, are you getting up? And I was
I was
drinking on
just-
the Saturday, so I was like, no.
You're
He's
so
like, yes,
serious.
you
I was
are.
like-
And I was like, no,
I
I'm
was
not.
like-
My mustache is bigger than that.
And then I like looked at him, like, oh shit, it's not even like 6:30. I was like, why would he wake me up early?
You can see mine.
Because you didn't want to wake up everybody that your dad.
And he's like, I just woke up too.
Yeah, I look like.
I'm not worried.
They're like,
We don't buy all that.
Yeah, and little black hair.
My mom usually calls me in the morning to wake me up. I don't know if she calls me.
Set an alarm.
Dude, I don't
Seriously,
wake
I
up.
don't know. She was just-
See,
Like,
she
I
doesn't
didn't
call me.
realize how
I mean, you can wake up to a call. Why don't you set your alarm as the default
Yeah,
thing?
like,
Sounds
what
like a
is
call
my
like I
I'm
do.
too lazy because I just have.
Versa. You're
I just
14 years
said-
old. You can wake yourself up.
Here,
for
wait,
crazy
You
shit.
don't have a
What time do you wake up?
shirt.
In the morning.
I have shirts for people. I already have shirts for some people, and that's
You wake up 5:45 at your dad's.
because I dropped
Why?
and then
That's not I wake up if I want like extra time.
So I don't. I like to like make food.
you don't
and I
think I
like
wear
to call.
shirts.
And I like to
You always
not
do that, so I don't always do it.
I want your shit from you. You just like you want to do it.
The
Yeah,
last you were
right.
like 7.
Had her covered up.
I said that's back then.
This came out to be on this thing.
I guess these are being her favorite.
Those are not like exactly fake to a phone.
Huh?
I poked you once, you freaked out.
No, it wasn't once. It was like 300 times. You
What
poked
did
me.
I
It's like,
do I
shit.
As
You
much
put me here.
It was
Then
pencil,
you
okay?
poked me
You
here.
kept freaking out and I wrapped my ears around you like,
Really dressed up as a poker or something,
and
brought
that's
the
what you know,
cops.
so you
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
such a candy.
I was up there.
What's that?
Yeah, that's a bad thing to do.
Yeah, these were this candy.
You guys always have like this.
Don't say that.
Oh, I remember that.
Keep that.
This one we got is like cookie. And it's always like you guys.
I think that this alarm,
That sounds like
Thank
your
you.
it never said that again.
That's
That's why you
Just do the one that's ringing.
every week, every weekday.
Yeah, because
So
if you
you
think
don't
about
have
it.
to remind you.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Come.
I just get it.
Weekday, that doesn't mean on the weekends, right?
No. No, it's just weekdays.
Oh my god.
excited for our presentation.
I screwed my butt.
Literally, like,
Just so you know, you
you get in there.
Where's baby at? Baby?
Like, do your hair one time and then you forget like a little spot, like, shape the condition. I don't have that, but it's
My back shirt. My hand here. Back. Bro, hey, look at that. You swung it
I
down like
couldn't
Fred.
knock it.
Swung it down like Fred. And it's not.
Is Miss Dog gonna be here even though he's teaching?
Yeah.
No, what I'm saying is she's cross country.
Wait. They're taking their precious time on announcements today.
They are.
Oh, you forgot glasses on
last
today.
year.
You come wearing
We're gonna do announcements today.
I don't know, you just look super nervous and it's making me laugh.
Alright, well, I don't know if they're gonna do announcements or stop when they do. Okay, so you guys know me, I normally just sit there and I'm normally just observing, but today I'll be teaching the lesson. So, my name's Rick, you guys can just call
Good
me
morning.
Mr.
Today
Hall.
is Friday,
There we go.
October
Never
16th,
mind.
and here are your morning
Get that up in
announcements.
1 second.
Happy birthday to Marlon Warren. On the lunch menu today is sweet and sour chicken. On the score schedule, varsity football crossover at Manchester, 7 p.m., and varsity cross country at LSR. Tomorrow, varsity volleyball holds their Big 8 tournament home at 9 a.m. College visit. Indiana Tech will be here on Wednesday, October 30th at 9 a.m. to meet with interested juniors and seniors. College trip. Juniors and seniors, Mrs. Kelly will be taking a group of up to 20 students to visit Spring Arbor University on Thursday, November 7th. We will leave school at 9:30 a.m. and return around 1 p.m. Those who turn in their permission slips first will be granted a spot, with seniors having first priority. Lunch will be provided by the college. JV varsity girls basketball. There will be a meeting today at lunch in Coach Fleming's room. If you are interested in participating in basketball this coming season, be sure to attend this meeting. High school competitive cheer. Competitive cheer tryouts will begin Monday, November 11th at 3:15 p.m. No prior experience necessary. We will be meeting in the side gym. School play. Opening night for the fall school play titled Discovering Amelia will be on Wednesday, October 30th. Show times are Wednesday, October 30th at 7, no show on Halloween, then Friday, November 1st at 7, Saturday, November 2nd at 7, and Sunday, November 3rd at 2. Admission is $5 for students and seniors and $6 for adults. Picture retakes. Attention all students who did not get their pictures taken yet or who need retakes. Prater Studios will be here on Tuesday, October 29th if you are interested in getting retakes. Remember, you must bring back your original picture packet. Pictures will begin right after announcements on Tuesday morning. Driver Ed 2. If you signed up for this class and have not paid yet, please turn in your $30, cash or check made out to Mr. Finch. Class will begin on November 11th, 12th, and 13th in Mr. McCown's room from 3 to 5. Remember, you must have had your license for at least 90 days and have logged a minimum of 30 hours. Practice driving with at least 2 hours of nighttime driving. This log can be written down with parent signature or kept on an app on your phone. 8th grade students. If you are interested in the Battle Creek Math and Science Center, be sure to register to take the admissions test by Wednesday, October 30th. You must register in advance. Please see Mrs. O'Keefe if you have any questions. Attention 7th and 8th grade boys. Basketball practice will begin Monday, October 28th from 3 to 4:30. You must have a physical in order to participate. There will be a Homer CSI meeting today during lunch in Miss Kirkman's room. The We Are Homer quote of the day. Go Trojans, beat Manchester. With that, this will conclude the morning announcement. Have a great day. And as always, Homer Strong.
Homer Strong. Alright, like I said, my name's Rick. You guys can just call me Mr. Hall today. So normally you guys are just used to me sitting over there in the corner and watching Miss Dodd teach, but I'm giving her a break today, as I'll be teaching the lesson today. So I'm a student at Spring Arbor University, and a requirement for my class is that I need to teach a lesson to a school. And so if you look in the back there, then I just have a camera, so just ignore that. All right, just act like it's not there, but I have to record myself and then show this eventually to my professor. And so hopefully I can get a good grade on this. So do you guys have any questions for me, just like about school, college, Spring Arbor, anything that I do? All right, you got any questions for me? All right, awesome, I didn't think so. So let's turn in our packets real quick. Can I see, turn to where we see towards the end of section 3. Should have the first word called armistice. So today, in this lesson, we'll be wrapping up World War I, talking about the Treaty of Versailles, basically talking about how World War I ended, and basically the aftermath, and then what came as a result of all those things. So the first word we see is armistice. Can anyone take a guess at what that means? Does anyone know what that word means? Because it's not a word that we see that often.
Army.
Huh?
Army.
Okay, we got a truce. What did you say, David?
Army.
Army? Anyone else got anything else about what an armistice could be? So a truce is a good answer. And an armistice, as we see up there, is a truce or an agreement to stop fighting. So, the United States was in World War I, and we're fighting with Germany and all these other European powers, yet so many people are dying, there's so much bloodshed, and we're basically saying, all right, we got to put an end to this war, but we don't just wake up one day and then decide we're going to sign a treaty, okay? So, our government officials basically decide to have this armistice, say, hey, we're going to stop fighting, and we're not going to have any more of this, so let's work towards a peaceful agreement. Okay, as you can see down there, the war officially ended on the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918. Okay, what date is that? 11th day in the 11th month. Who knows what day that is, real quick? You guys know your months?
November.
December.
What'd you say?
November.
November 11th, 1918. Remember, November is the 11th month in the year, the 11th day. So the war officially ended on November 11th, 1918. So now the real story begins, and now the United States must negotiate a treaty in the French city of Versailles. Awesome. So, like I said, today we're just going to be covering the Treaty of Versailles, President Wilson's 14 points, basically what he decided he wanted to get accomplished while negotiating this treaty with all the European powers. And we'll discuss the losing countries in the war and stuff like that. So, to begin, it's essential that we talk about President Wilson's 14 points. So, when he traveled to Europe, he basically wrote down these 14 points, okay? So, if you look at the picture on the right, who can tell me what that says on the right? Does anyone know? No one knows? Any guesses?
It says scribbles.
Just looks like scribbles, right? It looks like basically how we all wrote in first grade. Okay, so back in the day, this is called shorthand, and this is how presidents, secretaries, scribes would write for whoever was speaking at the time. So President Wilson would write this down, and not many people knew shorthand, and he was the only one. So each scribble stands for a single word, so it kind of looks more like Egyptian hieroglyphics than it does the English language. But that is actually a copy of President Wilson's original 14 points. Okay, so if you guys turn in your textbook to, let's see, page 342, you should see on the top right-hand corner of page 342, it has all of President Wilson's 14 points. So, real quickly, I'm going to give you guys, let's say, 7 to 8 minutes. I want you to copy down those points as you see on your packet. All right, it's front and back, and I want you to copy all 14, and then I want you to go back through them, and I want you to circle whichever one you think is the most important. So imagine you were president, and you know what you wanted to get accomplished in this treaty. All right, I want you to circle what you think is the most important one, and we're going to talk about it in the end. All right, so I'll give you guys 7 to 8 minutes to do that. As you're doing that, I'm just going to be passing out some pieces of paper. This doesn't really mean anything right now, but we'll use these at the end of the lesson. So just keep them on your desk for now as I pass them out. And some of you might get two of them. gauge the room. Who still needs more time to copy them? Okay, I'll give you guys 5 more minutes. And if you don't have them all copied, that's all right. You can get them at the end of class. Just make sure you're looking through them and then deciding for your own which you think to be the most important, or maybe you have multiple that you think are the most important. Alrighty, if you are still writing them down, that's alright. I just want to begin to move on to group discussion. So you should have looked through them and then circled which you believed, if you were president, would be the most important. So by a show of hands, okay, on your fingers, I want you to hold up the number which you believe to be the most important. So if it's 2, once it gets into the double digits, that would be hard, but we'll just figure that out when it comes, alright? So hold up with your hand which point you think is the most important that Wilson addressed.
What if we put the bottom one?
That's alright. Then, like, so we got 4 and 5. What's that? 4 or 14? 14.
And then there's 14.
14, 1. 14, 14. Okay, who thinks 14 is the most important? Okay, so we got a lot of hands. Okay, I saw a couple. Who held up a number one? Who thought? Why do you think number one was the most boring? What does it say?
It says, and secret treaties and secret diplomacy among nations.
All right, so end secret treaties and secret diplomacy among nations. Why is that so important to know?
Because I had because we want so ally.
Yep, we want to be allies. We don't want someone going behind our back, another nation, and that could attack us. What else do we have? Yep.
That kind of stuff can cause wars because if, like, how Germany and Mexico, like,
Mhm.
near the two wars, and then the American Army and Mexico think that goes in the war, so.
Right. So, I need another show of hands. Who all had point number 14? Because that's an important one, where it says, create a League of Nations. All right, why is point number 14 so important?
I guess I think that we can, like, do all the other points with point number 14 and we're in League of Nations. It also leads to, like, more domestic safety and,
All right, so having a league with all these nations, hopefully, then we won't go to war like we did. So if we're all allies in Europe, hopefully we won't have another bloody war like we just did. All right, so we'll get to point 14, but the big thing that I want to hit, as you guys see down below, you have the term national self-determination. All right, the last 8 points in President Wilson's 14 points address this concept of national self-determination. So, within this concept, it has 2 main points. The first is the idea that borders of countries should be based on ethnicity and national identity. So, if a group of people feel like they should be a nation, then they should be allowed to have their own nation. So, let's say, for example, I'm a nation over here. I'm with Autumn and Jocelyn, and we're our own nation, all right? But we don't feel like we're the same as all the rest of you guys on the other side of the class, so we want to form our own nation. So, if you see on the last 8 points, President Wilson is addressing this, saying that we should be allowed then to create our own nation. Basically, all these European countries who have been damaged by the war now have this own self-identity that they should be their own country. The second important point on that is no nation should be allowed to keep territory taken from another nation. So, my nation with Jocelyn and Autumn, let's say that we're low on resources and we want to invade the right side of the classroom because then we want to take your resources because you have precious metals that we want. All right. Well, according to Wilson, we can't do that. All right. We just learned that invading nations is basically what led to World War I, and we don't want to do that again. That whole concept of being able to create your own nation based off your own ethnicity, based off your own identity, is the important thing to know. All right. We good here? You guys still need a slide? Still need it. Awesome. So the second big idea that Wilson had in his 14 points, who can remind us what that second big idea we just talked about at point number 14? Create a League of Nations. All right, that's the second huge point that Wilson wanted to address. So within it, there are again 4 main points. The first one that Wilson believed in is that members should agree to reduce armaments. All right, who knows what the word armaments is? We don't see that very often. Jacob.
A truce or an agreement to stop fighting.
That's armistice. Remember we talked about that at the beginning. Armaments is something different.
Oh.
Who else knows what that is? Who can defer what it means from the sentence reduce? What are we trying to reduce? Yeah. The army? Okay, specifically what does the army have? Weapons. We want to reduce weapons, all right? The less weapons, the less likely we are to go to war. All right, so all members should reduce the amount of weapons they have. Less weapons means less war, and we just saw in World War I that we don't want to do this ever again. Secondly, members of the League should agree to protect each other against aggression. So like I said, Jocelyn, Autumn, and I are our own nation. So let's say we get invaded, okay? We're going to then call on support from another nation, and we hope that they're going to back us up. Okay, just like if they were to get invaded, the right side of the classroom was to get invaded, you guys could call on the left side of the classroom, and then they would come help you in a time of need like that. So thirdly, colonies of central power will now be supervised by league members. All right, who knows what a colony is? We've talked a little bit about that. Yep.
Nations that took it over by another nation.
Yes. So the United States used to be a colony. Britain came over here, settled people in America, and then we became our own colony. Basically, we still had to follow them. So what the League of Nations is saying is that colonies of central powers will now be supervised by league members. So all the colonies that Germany held, and Russia, and all these others on the losing side should now be basically supervised by us, the League of Nations. All right, finally, parts of the Ottoman Empire will be made independent under league supervision. So this was an important concept of Wilson's point, but it did not go the way he originally planned. Who knows what the Ottoman Empire is? We don't really talk about that as much.
That's just like a
Big
group
group of what?
like little countries and
Okay,
got
so
taken over by-
yeah, an empire, they take over, okay? Who knows where the Ottoman Empire originates in? This is a little bit of geography. Does anyone know? Because they're not really in Europe, are they?
So not
In
huge.
Asia, all right? It's kind of like you guys know what the Middle East is, right? That's kind of where they operate. So we'll talk a little bit more about how the Ottoman Empire broke up later, but the important thing to know is that Wilson doesn't like empires. He thinks they're a bad thing. It's what got us in this war in the first place, so we want to just dismantle them and get rid of them. All right, everyone good on this slide? Can I move on? Alrighty. So, up on the screen, we have this political cartoon that was going around in the time. I want you guys to look at it, alright? Just out loud, tell me what's going on in this cartoon. What do you guys see?
Bridge. Trench.
A bridge.
Trench.
A trench. Okay, good. A trench underneath. What else? What else is in there?
It's allies.
He's just laying there smoking.
He's just laying there. Who is that?
U.S.
Uncle Sam. So that represents the United States. What's he laying on? What does that say?
Italy? Oh, no,
No, what's he leaning against?
Keystone.
Keystone. And what does it say underneath?
USA.
USA, so that stands for us. All right, what about the countries on the bridge? Who do we see on the bridge?
France.
France, Belgium, what else? What's on the right side? Italy. Okay, who can read for me that sign up on the top left? What does that say?
This League of Nations bridge was designed by the president of the of the USA.
All right, so this cartoon was going around at the time. You can see on the bottom it was labeled "The Gap in the Bridge," okay? So, the United States never officially ended up joining the League of Nations, and as you can see, it never really became its true power, because since the United States did not join, they were missing that one key piece. All right, we were basically the world's superpower at this point, and maybe if we would have joined, it would have turned into something good, but we never joined, so the League never really became a thing. However, today we are a part of something like the League. Who knows what the United States is a part of? The Union, what does it say? The UN, what does that stand for? The United Nations, okay? So, I'm going to put back up on the board. So if you didn't have the 4 main points, they're up right now on the board for the League of Nations. And I'm going to be passing out, let's see, these handouts. So, the United States is a part of something like the League of Nations. It is the United Nations. All right, so I'm passing out the original UN Charter, and it just has 4 points. And these are the 4 main points that the UN believes in. This is basically how they were founded and what they want to be as the United Nations. So, I have the League of Nations points up there, and I want you guys to read through this UN Charter. It's just a couple paragraphs. All right, I want you to read through it, highlight, circle, underline, do whatever you need to do. I want you to find similarities between the League, its main points, and I want you to find also differences between the two. Yep. So, read through that quickly. I'm going to give you guys maybe 3 to 5 minutes to complete that. All right, and then we'll come back and discuss and kind of see what the differences and similarities are between the two. And then later we'll kind of talk about why the U.S. never ended up joining the League. we ready to move on? You guys still need, I can give you another minute if you guys want to read through it and find the differences and similarities, or are we good? All right, one more minute. Keep looking through it. Make sure we distinguish the similarities between the United Nations and the League of Nations, as well as differences. We all good? Thumbs up if we're good. Everyone got it? Awesome, okay. So when reading through this, I think the harder thing to find is differences. I don't know about you guys, but I thought they were very similar. But for me, it was hard to find differences, so let's talk about that first. Did anyone spot any main differences between the UN and then the League? Anyone see any main ones? I think this one was harder. Yep. Difference.
At the beginning of number 2, it talks about being friendly among nations.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was kind of different from up there than here.
Yeah, so it talks about being friendly. The League doesn't really address being friendly. We're just all going to be in this league together. We're going to be allies. All right, doesn't mean that you have to like each other. But the UN definitely wants to foster this feeling of friendship, that we're all in this together, that we're all friends. We're more than just allies. The League was just kind of, you know, we're here, we're allies, but it doesn't mean we have to like each other. Anyone else got a difference? Evan?
I was at the beginning of the read. They're the UN is trying to like do economic and social problems and culture, and then they're trying to take care of distinction with race, religion, sex, and language.
Okay, so it specifically mentions in the UN Charter what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, but basically they address exactly what they want to do. And we don't see that as much in the League of Nations because, again, it was such, it's basically in its infancy stage. All right, I saw one more hand on differences. Anyone else got any more? All right, never mind. Okay, let's move on to similarities. What are some main similarities that we saw between the UN and then the League of Nations? Autumn.
They both want peace.
They both want peace. That's a huge thing, all right? World War I basically destroyed Europe, and we don't want to see that ever again. We know along the line now in history that we will in World War II, but again, we don't want to see it. So peace, that's a good one.
And number 1, it says like the end to take effort. So I think they're both trying to like end things.
To take it like a concerted effort to try and make a change, to try and make sure we never see a great war like this that'll destroy so many lives. All right, good one. Any other similarities? Evan, you have your hand up?
Yeah. They want to like maintain the peace, but they want to secure.
Okay. So it's one thing to create peace, it's another hard thing to try and maintain peace. All right? Like when you're fighting with your sibling, who has siblings in here? Everyone got, yeah, I have siblings too, all right? We fight with them sometimes, okay? So it's something to just say, I'm sorry, you don't really mean it. Then it's another thing to try and maintain that peace, all right? So that's another similarity between the two. They were trying to then maintain this peace for a long time. Any other similarities we see? Anyone else? Nope. All right. Those are some good points. So the main treaty, the Treaty of Versailles, is what President Wilson was then coming to then trying to create this treaty so that we don't see war again. All right. So let's pretend in this class that we are all the representatives that are going to this massive treaty. So representatives from the losing side, representatives from the winning side, and then people from even sides that weren't even involved in the war. Everyone's got to be at this treaty to make sure their country gets what they want. All right, so what should be the first order of business? We see it up on the screen there. Okay, so let's say we're all coming in. What's the first thing that we want to do? Get our territory back? Alright, but one thing in specific, it's up there. What do we want to do? We want to punish Germany because they were huge in this. Okay, they're the ones that started invading all over the place, and we decided that we don't like that. Alright, so we're going to punish Germany hard. We want to make sure that they can't do anything like this ever again. So we got to decide what to do, and we decided to punish them in 4 different ways like you see up there. We decide that armies in different countries is ultimately a bad thing. We say that German troops will return all captured territory to Belgium, Russia, and France. Alright, and then we say Germany is going to be divided into 2. Okay, so you see that division. Some German territory will then be given to Denmark, France, Poland, Czechoslovakia, and Belgium. Ultimately saying, you know, yeah, you took over us, now we're giving this back to you. Number 3 says Germany will be held responsible for all wartime losses and must pay reparations. Alright, does anyone know what reparations are? Can anyone tell me what that means? Yes, Jacory.
We pay back.
Uh-huh. You see it up there, monetary compensation for all of the war damage caused. So if you turn your packet to the next page, it should have reparations down there, and you guys can copy that down there. So, like Jacory said, reparations, we're going to pay back. Germany now has to pay back all the money that they, basically pay back all the damage they caused in money. Alright, so, let me just hear some guesses. How much money do you think Germany owed in all? Alright, they caused a lot of damage. We're going to keep that in mind. How much? 3 billion? Higher. 10 billion higher. What do we got? 10 billion higher.
20 billion.
20 higher.
35.
Lower, a little bit lower than 35.
33.
33 billion. $33 billion is what Germany owed to all the countries. Alright? So why did we go out, and why did we, as the United States, why are we saying, alright Germany, you gotta pay back $33 billion to all, why are we doing that? They caused the most destruction. Alright? They damaged all these other countries in Europe, and the total of this damage arose to $33 billion. So, we're basically deciding that you're going to owe all this money, Germany, and it's basically intended to keep Germany's economy weak for a long time. So what we're hoping by doing this, and you see point number 4, Germany's army and navy will be limited in size, and Germany cannot have an air force and cannot have military forces west of the Rhine. So we're putting all these restrictions on Germany and trying to cripple their economy, alright, cripple their army, cripple the navy and air force, because we don't want them to go to war again, alright? So, we know a little bit about World War II, we don't know it all, but does this work in the end? Does Germany never attack again? No, alright, World War II, then they decide to come back, and they ultimately don't pay a lot of their debt that we put on them, alright, $33 billion, and they end up don't paying a lot of that back to most of the countries. Okay, but we're trying to cripple their economy, and we're trying to cripple their military, so that they can no longer attack and cause mass destruction like they did in this World War. So as you guys are copying that down, another big thing that Wilson wanted to accomplish was the dismantling of empires. Okay, we see a lot of empires dismantled in this, and we ultimately decide that empires are a bad thing. So let's review these, okay? Who can tell us what an empire is? Let's review that real quick. What's an empire? Who can tell me what that is real quick?
When a large nation takes over a bunch of smaller nations.
Right, when a larger nation takes over a bunch of smaller nations. So, Britain, when they were coming to America, was an empire. Right? Germany was an empire as they were taking over all these countries in Europe. Alright, empires have existed for a long time, but we've decided that we don't like them and we want to get rid of them. Alright, so President Wilson is going to this meeting in Versailles to make sure that he dismantles these empires, to try and then say, alright, nothing like this is ever going to happen again, and we're going to make sure that it doesn't happen again by then, getting rid of these empires. And then we'll see later on, remember how we talked about the Ottoman Empire early in class? Alright, we're going to see then how new nations then came from these empires. So, by dismantling these things, actually good came about it because new nations were able to gain independence. Alright, so I gave you guys, are we good on this slide? You guys still need to copy it down? Alright, I'll give you a little bit more. Alright, so does everyone have their like little pieces of paper that I handed out while you guys were copying down the 14 points? Oh, you guys didn't get one?
Here, I'll have my.
Yeah, I did too. Okay, I guess I forgot. We got two. Here, you keep that one. I'll take this one. Does everyone else have one? Everyone else is good? Alright, my bad. I just forgot you too. Alright. So, if you look at your pieces of paper, two of you have two now, I think. It should either say an empire or country. So if it says a country, that's one of the countries then that was created from the Treaty of Versailles. If it says an empire, that's one of the empires that was then dismantled. Alright? So we good here? Can I move on? Everybody good? Awesome. Alright, so if your piece of paper has an empire listed, can I please get you to go up to the front of the board? To the front of the class. So it should be the German Empire, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the Russian Empire, and the Ottoman Empire. Oh, only the empires right now. If yours is just a country, then you just say city. Alright. So, up here, turn around so everyone can see. Alright, so we have all our empires here, and we basically decided in the Treaty of Versailles that we don't like empires. Alright, and we're representing all the countries that were involved in World War I. Alright, we're all the losing, all the winning countries, and we don't like them. Alright, so, who has the Austro-Hungarian Empire? Alright, right here. So, even though their empire was destroyed, they became a new country, but we basically decided we don't like the Austro-Hungarian Empire because they were the ones to start this whole thing in the first place, and if it wasn't for them, maybe we would never have gone to war. Alright, so we take a big vote. Do we want the Austro-Hungarian Empire to still exist, or do we want to dismantle them? All in favor of dismantling them? Give me some hands. Alright, Austro-Hungarian, you sit down. You are done. Alright, next. We have the Russian Empire. Who has the Russian Empire? Awesome. Alright, again, Russia is a huge country, and now we're afraid that they're going to gain all this power. Alright, we're going to be talking about the Cold War later on in this class, but we don't like that Russia's gaining all this power and then getting all this land, and we just don't think that's a really good thing. Alright, again, we don't even like empires in the first place, alright? So, all in favor of destroying the Russian Empire? Let me see a show of hands. Alright, you're gone. You can sit down. Next up, let me see the Ottoman Empire. Alright, remember, we said that this was a long-lasting empire in the Middle East, alright? It's been around for hundreds of years, but we still don't like them, alright? We still don't want them to exist. So, all in favor, let me see the Ottoman Empire. Are they going to sit down? Destroyed. And you're out of there. Last but not least, we saved the great German Empire for last, alright? Now, Germany was the cause of all of our problems. They caused us major headaches like we saw in World War I, and they're going to give us even more migraines in World War II. Alright? They're the cause of all of this, and we just basically now Evan, you owe all of us $33 billion. So you better get on your allowance and start paying us. Alright, all in favor, German Empire, we want to keep them or dismantle them?
Okay.
And you're out of there. Awesome, so thank you, empires, for then participating in that. Hold on real quick.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta give you something for coming to the treaty, so boom. Who else is there? Boom, we got the Austro-Hungarian, Russia, and then boom. Awesome.
I have one here.
Okay, so we decided that we don't like these empires, we don't want them around, and now they're taken care of, alright? But Germany still got to pay us $33 billion. Remember that, Evan. Okay. Alright, so the good thing that came about from all this is that the 9 nations, as you see on your packet, 9 nations were then created because of the Treaty of Versailles. So, 9 new nations, I mean, is that a cause for celebration? I mean, I think it is. So, once you hear your country called, as you see on your on your piece of paper, I want you to go up front so that we can recognize you as a new country, alright? So, first up, we have Austria. Who has Austria? Please go up to the front of the classroom. So, Austria was part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Let us see your flag. There we go. And even though their empire was destroyed, they became a new country. So, congratulations to Austria. You are now a new country. You can sit down. Here you go. Heads up. Next up, we have the country that very few can pronounce, and that is Czechoslovakia. Alright, who has Czechoslovakia? Please go up to the front.
Who named it?
I have no idea, but in the future they will actually split up into 2 different countries. But for now, enjoy your independence because you're a new country on your own. Congratulations, Czechoslovakia. Sorry, that's a bad toss. I'll get better at this. All right. Up next is Estonia. Who has Estonia? So this is a small country in northern Europe, home to 1,500 different islands, and few people have heard of its name. All right, I haven't before I started this lesson. All right, but congratulations, Estonia, because you're now your own country. That was a really bad toss. I apologize. Next up, who has Finland? We want to see Finland go up there. So this is a grand country that's amazing at night because they're famous for one thing, their northern lights. So, congratulations to Finland and your Northern Lights because now you're your own country. That was a pretty good toss. Awesome. Next up, can I see Hungary? Who's Hungary? Who's representative from Hungary? Awesome. Get up there. And he sure is Hungary. Alright, so, congratulations to Hungary. They were part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, just like Austria. But congratulations, you're now your own new country. You gotta sit down. Oh, could die for that. Latvia. Who has Latvia? We want to see Latvia. That's you. All right. So, Latvia, you're now the new list of new countries. This country is known for its amazing waterfalls, and they produce a good amount of NBA players. And that will come later on in their history. So, congratulations to Latvia. You're now a new country. There you go. Alright, next up, can I see Lithuania? Who has Lithuania? Awesome. So, not much is known about this country other than the fact that they have amazing potatoes. I don't know why, but that's what I found, is they have some amazing potatoes. So, congratulations, Lithuania, and your potatoes, because you're now a new country. Next up, can I see Poland? Where's Poland at? Awesome. So, small old Poland is often taken advantage of, as we'll see both in World War I and World War II. But for now, you guys can celebrate in the streets because you're your own country. Jeez, this keeps hurting. Next up, can I see the country that's probably the most fun to pronounce is Yugoslavia. Who has Yugoslavia? Here we are. Other than being fun to say, Yugoslavia is a great country in Central Europe. However, they would, just like Czechoslovakia, would break off and become 2 different countries. So, congratulations to Yugoslavia. You're now your own new country. Alrighty. So, remember how I said that we had the Ottoman Empire? Alright, who remembers the Ottoman Empire? Alright? It was that empire out in the Middle East, right? However, this would also become a new country, as you see in your packet, that this would turn into 5 new countries because we dismantled them. Alright? So we're not going to stop celebrating right here. Alright, we've got to recognize the countries now that are part of the Ottoman Empire. So, first up, can I see the country of Turkey? Where's Turkey at? So, this is a grand country, part of both Europe and Asia, and they do make good turkey. So, congratulations on falling away from the Ottomans. You're now your own new country. That was a good toss. Next up, we have Syria. Where can I see Syria? So, this country has wondrous structures and various buildings, plus Syria is now very serious about becoming their own country. I see no one laughed at that pun. I thought it was a lot better than
I didn't hear you.
Syria is being serious. There we go. Now they're starting to come. Next up, we have Palestine. Where can I see Palestine at? Awesome. This is considered a part of the Holy Land. If you guys remember from your world history days, we'll travel to Palestine in the Crusades to try and take them back. But for now, you're your own new country. Congratulations to Palestine. Alright, next, can I see the country of Jordan? Awesome. Jordan broke off from the Ottoman Empire, and I have no idea why it's named Jordan. It's not named after a guy named Jordan, but congratulations, Jordan. You're your own country. Finally, the last country to break off from the Ottoman Empire is the country of Iraq. Who has Iraq? There we go. So as we know from later on in U.S. history, the United States would have a lot of problems with Iraq. We'd later go to war with them. But for now, you guys can celebrate your own new country. Alrighty, so you guys can copy them up right down here. I have them up on the board in case you didn't get them. Alright, so let's quickly go over them. The 4 empires that were dismantled, we lined them all up and we voted that we don't want to have them part of the world. Alright, so we decided that was the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the Russian Empire, the German, and then finally the Ottoman Empire. Remember, 5 new nations came from the Ottoman Empire. Alright, so if we look at the new nations, 9 of them were created. Okay, and quickly go through those. Those are Austria, Czechoslovakia, Estonia, Finland, Hungary, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, and Yugoslavia. Alright, those are the biggest ones. Those are the 9 new nations that were created. And this is all because of the Treaty of Versailles. So we're all agreeing to do this, and we're all recognizing these countries now. Alright? Bless you. Finally, the Ottoman Empire. It was divided into 5 new nations, just like we said. Alright, a lot of them now are in the Middle East, which makes sense because the Ottoman Empire was basically set in the Middle East. Okay, these 5 countries were Turkey, Syria, Iraq, Palestine, and Jordan. Alright, those would be the 5 new nations that come into the world because we basically dismantled the entirety of the Ottoman Empire. Okay, so, yes, Evan?
I said, where do you pronounce Austria?
Czechoslovakia. So, Czechoslovakia actually right now is no longer a country. It's split into 2. Split into the Czech Republic and then Slovakia. But at the time, Czechoslovakia was its own country. And that's why it's got a really weird name and it's hard to pronounce. And
So they split the name too?
yep. They just split it right down the middle. That's how they decided it.
That's weird.
Alright, so is everyone good here? We got the country written down. You still need a minute.
Need a minute.
Alright, let's copy them down. Alright. So now as we're wrapping up, the big question is, the U.S. basically, they didn't end up ratifying this treaty. Alright, so out of all the good things we just saw, the U.S. back home in Congress was widely opposed to the League of Nations and we didn't want to join it. Alright, and basically everything Wilson fought for in Versailles was basically not recognized because they didn't end up even joining the League. Alright, so the U.S. would end up not ratifying the treaty, which means we weren't a part of it, but we saw all this good come from it. Alright, so I'm gonna come back to this slide real quick, but I just want to go on to the next one. Alright, so if you don't have the countries, I'm gonna come back to it just in a second. Alright, so the big question, do you guys have a piece of paper? Give me a scrap piece of paper. You can write it on the bottom of your UN charter. Oh yeah, write them on the back of your flags. Alright? So the big question of the day, why didn't the US ratify the Treaty of Versailles? And I want you all to imagine that you're a senator, or that you're a congressman or woman, and what's basically going to be your decision? Do you want to ratify the treaty? Alright, so write quickly on the back of your flag. Huh?
What does ratify mean?
Basically it means,
Go against it.
no, it means we want to make it a part. So, remember when the United States was a colony and we had just won the Revolutionary War? Alright, we drafted this Constitution and then we decided to ratify it, which means we voted to then make it a law. It's official now. Alright, we voted and this wasn't officially recognized by the United States government. Alright, so pull out your pen or pencil and then on the back of your flag, just take a minute or two and I want you to write down that second question. Would you ratify the Treaty of Versailles? And I want you to say why. Alright? Not the first one, that's just a discussion point. The second one is the most important one. If you need help, alright, if you turn your book to page 345, there's a whole big section on why the U.S. Senate rejected the Treaty of Versailles. Alright, so that's going to be your ticket out the door, and then just let me know when you're done with that, and I'll come collect your flags and all that.
Are you gonna teach more often in here?
I got to teach another lesson. I have to teach 2 for my class.
Well, I like to teach.
I'll try and do it again someday. Huh?
Yeah.
First hour?
Yeah.
Alright, well, don't tell second hour then.
You
Alright,
you teach next hour too, or just this hour?
just this hour.
Alright.
So you don't ask for the rest of it, though.
Alright, who still needs to list all the countries? Alright, so we good on this? You guys know the question?
Yeah.
Alright, I'm gonna go back in case you didn't get the countries. Sure, yeah. Let me know when you're finished. Hold your paper up there so I can collect it once you're done.
Right here.
Yeah, the ones that you write the question on. Alrighty. Here's the question. I'll put the question's back up on the board. Remember that second one I want you answering. You want the is this your you got the second one? Yeah, you guys can keep your UN charter. You can do what you want with it. Yeah, please.
I read on this one and on the flag.
That's fine. I'll take both of that and your flag. Yeah, please write your names so the next time I teach then I'll know all your names. Because the shirt's kind of stuff.
I said no because I don't want it.
You done?
Yeah.
Alright.
No for the crew. I hate that. Me too.
Thank you. Done?
There's so many guys that write even worse.
Right down.
I can't even read that. We're good.
Well, I mean,
Anyone else? Does anyone need me to go back to any other slides if you missed them? We're all good? Do I have everyone's flag, everyone's answer to the last question?
Here.
Awesome. I'll take it. Yeah, put your name and let me take it. I think you're good.
You act like you would still not have to do it. They're gonna be like, oh, here's a big section of tax that you don't have to do. And do it Monday.
You guys are good to go. Have a good weekend.
Mr. Candy.
Yep, no problem. Thank you guys. Yeah.
Anybody not want their candy? 'Cause I can eat it for you.
Yeah, good luck on that one.
Emily, I don't. I already ate it.
I don't either.
Oh, you don't want yours, Landon?
No.
You can give it to me.
Wow.
I'm talking about your pack.
Thank you, Landon. You're the real G.
See you guys.
Well,
hey, well done to you.
Carter, well done, Steve. I
This
know.
was the best class I had.
Get her done, well done.
And it's the only class I had today. So.
No.
Thank you once again.
Yeah, I was down field looking at the box. I thought it was turning away. No, you guys are back at the 5.
Yeah. Any like
No, it's my fault.
Because you want to part of the class, and then you have those other ones that are real
No, that's 10
slow.
a.m.
So you moved well for the others. Some of them were lagging behind, but
9:30,
do that when I do it. To keep the balance of, yes, you want to keep going, you can, but then you have these friends over here at other hours, it's not that big of a
Go
deal.
straight, you're done.
Because you have
Yeah.
so,
Okay, buddy.
it is what it is. You just have to try to, yeah, you just have to try to do what works.
awesome. Thank you again. See you next week.
Aw.
You're 12. He's gonna look. He's 12. I said, you're up, but he's gonna look.